Let me know.
I'm good.
Hey, Shalom.
Shalom.
First and foremost, we'll say call halal.
Yahweh,
Ba'Hashem, Yahweh Shai, Ba'Hashem, Rakakwadash. Send double honors to the apostles, elders, and bishops of Great Millstone. I want to send much peace, love, and salutations to y'all came out there pushing the word of Yahweh, Ba'Hashem, Yahweh Shai, in sincerity and truth. This is GMS Dallas, and we're here for another class session. And as you can see, the title is called Prepare to Operate in the Unknown. Prepare to operate in the unknown. Right now, we're in a season and a time where things are about to turn up. We always read Revelation, the 12th chapter. When you go down to the 12th verse, talking about how Satan is about to come with wrath because he knows he have but a short time. And there's going to be different situations happening all around the United States, all around the world, where, you know, when you read in the book of Luke, it talks about how the people are going to be in perplexity or in a state of confusion, a state of not knowing. Matter of fact, let's get that scripture. It's in Luke 21, and let me find it real quick. It's like maybe like 7 or something like that. It's 17, Luke 21.
I got you right here.
What is it?
Luke 21 and 25.
Luke 21, 25. Pull that, read that.
This is the book of St. Luke, chapter 21, verse 25. It says, and there shall be signs in the sun, and in the moon, and in the stars. And upon the earth, distress of nations.
Upon the earth, there's going to be distress of nations, and we see that. Go ahead.
It says, with perplexity.
With perplexity. All right. And when you get that word perplexity, we always like to go to that word, you know, aporia, and then you go into the root. When you go into that root word, aporio, it says to be without resources, to be in straits, to be left wanting, to be embarrassed, to be in doubt, not to know which way to turn. See, we're going to be in a state, there's going to be a state of uncertainty out here, man, where you're going to have to operate in the spirit of faith, where faith is going to have to fill in the blank, right? Right now, we're operating in a state of faith, waiting on Yahweh Shai, waiting on the world, the next world to come, the unseen world to come. Well, there's going to be a tumultuous, you know, events that's happening out here where you're going to have to move and operate in faith and know that Yahweh Shai has your back, no matter what. You know what I'm saying? Go ahead, champ.
I got a quick one for you. Back to it. This is Psalm 48, verse 14. It says, for this power is our power forever and ever. He will be our guide even unto death. I'm going to get that word guide for you real quick. That word guide in the Hebrew is nahag. Right? So I can go back here. Kick me out. All right, that word is nahag in the Hebrew. And the definition here says to drive, lead, guide, conduct, to drive, lead on, drive away, drive off, to behave itself, to drive away, to lead on. See, so Yahweh Shai is going to be our leader, our guide in the time of distress and the time of trouble. That's why Scripture says that what? Wisdom and knowledge shall be the fear of that time, and the strength of salvation, and the fear of the Lord is treasure. Because we're going to know in that time, we're going to know what to do while everybody else is bugging out and not having any clue what's going on, or not having a sense of direction, for lack of better words. Yahweh Shai is going to be guiding us in that time, so that we're going to know where to go, what to do.
God, beautiful. Go ahead, champ.
This is the book of Psalms, chapter 56 and 3. It says, what time I am afraid, I will trust in thee.
Go ahead and break it down.
God, I'm going to read it one more time. Psalms 56 and 3. What time? I'm getting NOT. He says, but when I am afraid, I will put my trust in you. Yeah, because, you know, carnally, there's no way you can really, you know, get yourself ready for a time of trouble such as never was prepared the nation. You know, we're in this flesh. You know, now we understand and know, we believe through faith that the Lord is dealing with us, but the particular, you know, scenarios and circumstances and, you know, things that the Lord's going to put us through in the flesh, we're going to have like that initial onset, like, oh shit, you know, but that's when your spiritual muscle that you've been, you know, training up in this grace period is going to kick in, you know, and that's when you're going to rely upon and trust in Yahweh Shai.
That's right. You got to have that spiritual muscle memory that we always talk about, you know, but that takes your senses being exercised that we read about in the book of Hebrews. You know, you got to have exercise senses to know good and good or bad, you know, right and wrong, to execute judgment in the times of the unseen or the times of unknown. Do you have a point you were going to bring out?
Yes.
Let's go, champ.
Habakkuk chapter 2, verse 4. Behold, his soul which is lifted up is not upright in him, just shall live by his faith.
Mm-hmm.
So, like you were saying, Esau's coming down with great wrath. He doesn't have a right spirit. He's gonna come in like a raging maniac because he knows his kingdom is slipping, and it's gonna look bad out here. You know, but like you said, we're gonna have to live by faith and trust in the Lord that He's gonna lift up that protection, pretty much.
God.
You talked about that on the way to the car last night. Having an ascension exercise.
Yeah. So the just is gonna live by that and trust, even though all these things around us gonna be happening. We're gonna have to trust that the Most High is gonna lift up that standard.
That's right. Somebody get Hebrews 11:1. Baba Kushal, and just read that.
That's right here. This is the book of Hebrews, chapter 11. From the top, it says, "Now faith is the substance of things hoped for,
Mm-hmm.
the evidence of things not seen."
It says that your faith is evidence of things not seen. So that faith that you're living by is proof, you know, that what things are going to be okay, or things are going to manifest in a righteous manner for those who are obedient to Yahweh Ba'Shem Yahushua. Now, as you read here in the Hebrews 11 chapter, you read about our forefathers that went through trials and tribulations where they didn't know what was going to happen. They were unsure. We're speaking of Abraham having to sacrifice Isaac. We mentioned the situation with Moses, which I want to get that account. That was a beautiful account, you know. Talks about Enoch being translated, Noah. You know, Noah was just following by faith, but that faith comes in. There's two sides of knowledge. You have data, where you have the tangible data, the facts, the proof that's in your face. Then you have faith. That's another side of knowledge. Faith is the spiritual side of knowledge. That's why it's also presented as evidence and proof. So in the spiritual world, faith is acting on in part as wisdom, knowledge, and understanding on that side of it. Does that make sense what I'm saying? So when you operate in the knowledge and wisdom and understanding of Yahweh Ba'Shem Yahushua, there's a component of faith that actually unlocks all of that information and makes it real. Skip down to verse 6.
Hebrews 11:6, and it reads, "But without faith it is impossible to please him. For he that cometh to Yahweh Ba'Shem Yahushua must believe that he is,
Mm-hmm.
and that he is a rewarder of them that diligently seek him."
You have to believe. You have to operate in a sense of surety, in a sense of, have you seen Yahweh Ba'Shem Yahushua in your face yet? No, but there's a level of evidence and proof inside your spirit where you know through faith, and he's going to reward you for moving and acting accordingly. As we go through these situations that's about to happen to Babylon the Great and around the world, you're going to be put in precarious situations to where it's like, shit, you ain't going to necessarily know how you're going to get out that situation. And it ain't meant for you to know. It's just meant for you to operate in obedience through faith and to know through faith that it's going to be okay. Right? You have a point or something like that? Okay. Okay, Khan, hold on. Get 2 Corinthians 4. Unless you have something, Nana.
I had a quick, well, it's like 3 verses.
Let's go, champ.
This is Ephesians chapter 3 and verse 14. It says, "For this cause I bow my knees unto the Father of our Lord Yahushua Mashiach, of whom the whole family in heaven and earth is named, that he would grant you, according to the riches of his glory, to be strengthened with might by his spirit in the inner man." So that's going to be, I mean, it's not a tangible thing, right? And really, unless you experience it, it's hard to really even describe it.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
like these words we giving is not even, we're doing our best to make it come out,
yeah.
but it's something that you feel like. That's beautiful way you put that.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And so we're going to experience it to its fullness, when we're placed in those situations. That's why Yahushua said, "Think not upon the things you're going to say in the hour that you receive tribulation, because the Spirit of the Lord is going to give you what you need to say."
That's right. Read that next verse.
Verse 17, Ephesians 3:17, it says that Mashiach may dwell in your hearts by faith,
Mm-hmm.
which we know that word heart is la'ab, which is your mind, right? That he may dwell in your hearts by faith, that ye being rooted and grounded in love may be able to comprehend with all saints what is the breadth.
See, that's that level of knowledge. That's how through faith it unlocks another level of knowledge that you may be able to comprehend with all the saints, right? You not people don't understand what the hell we're doing, man. We look crazy, but they're not going to get it because they don't have the gift of faith. Okay, and faith is an attribute that does build too. Your faith meter does go up as you go through shit. You know, you go through little trials and tribulations, it builds upon the attribute or the gift of faith that was given unto you, man. You know what I'm saying? Well, finish that verse, Baba Kusha.
It says in verse 18 that you may be able to comprehend with all saints what is the breadth and length and depth and height, and to know the love of Mashiach, which passeth knowledge, that you might be filled with all the fullness of the Most High.
That was a fantastic scripture. All right, and it went perfectly with everything that we're saying right here. Anybody else have points? Because
I do got a precept.
Mm-hmm.
This is Romans chapter 8, verse 24.
We're gonna get to Romans 8.
Okay.
Hold that. Yeah, we're gonna build up to Romans 8 because Romans 8 is gonna come after we do that Exodus. Okay. 2 Corinthians 4. But yeah. We locked in with the Romans 8. We locked in. Start at 16.
This is 2 Corinthians 4:16. It says, "For which cause we faint not, but though our outward man perish, yet the inward man is renewed day by day.
Mm-hmm.
For our light affliction, which is but for a moment."
This is a light affliction that we go through, even if it's death. It's a light thing compared to what the Most High has prepared in the kingdom. Okay, go ahead.
It says, "For our light affliction, which is but for a moment, worketh for us a far more exceeding and eternal weight of glory,
Mm-hmm.
while we look not at the things which are seen, but at the things which are not seen. For the things which are seen are temporal, but the things which are not seen are eternal."
The things that are not seen are forever. They're eternal. They're more powerful. They're upgraded. They're celestial. All right. These things that we see here, that's why scriptures talk about having godly sorrow versus worldly sorrow. You know, we're not worried about the passing of the things of this world because we know there's an upgrade getting ready to happen. Right? Whether it's your woman, whether it's the carnal things you possess, whether it's, you know, your children or whatever it is, all that's going to be upgraded in the kingdom. So we have to operate with that mentality as a pilgrim passing through. And when you put in a situation where you don't even understand or know what's going to happen, you so filled with faith that you ain't tripping about it. You know, we ain't tripping about it at all because it's coming, man. It's coming big time. Can we get 2nd Ezra, the 2nd chapter? And before we get that in Exodus, 2nd Ezra, chapter 2. Verse 44 through the end.
This is I'm laughing because we brought these same scriptures last night.
Let's go, Chan.
This is 2nd Ezra chapter 2, and you said verse 44.
Mm-hmm.
All right, 2nd Ezra chapter 2 and verse 44 says, "So I asked the angel and said, Sir, what are these? He answered and said unto me, These be they that have put off the mortal clothing and put on the immortal,
Mm-hmm.
and have confessed the name of the Most High. Now they are crowned and receive palms."
That's that reward, that being crowned. Okay, that's that focusing on the eternal that we read about in 2 Corinthians 4. All right, go ahead.
I wonder what that name of, when it says confess the name of the Most High, I wonder
Right.
what that name is.
Right.
For IUIC. You know, and then also too, side note, palms represent victory.
Mm-hmm.
You know, edification. Continuing on in verse 46, it says, "Then said I unto the angel, What young person is it that crowneth them and giveth them palms in their hands? So he answered and said unto me, It is the Son of the Most High, whom they have confessed in the world."
Right. And so when you go out and you confess the name of Yahweh Bashem Yahushua out in the world, you put yourself under threat of imminent death. We are witnesses. We are testifying. And if you are a witness and you just testifying, you putting it out there and confessing who's good, who's bad, who's right, who's wrong, who's the king of the universe, who's the king of kings, you put yourself under the threat of imminent death. We just saw the situation where there was a hit put out on that brother out in Cali, man, where somebody tried to professionally take him out, man. You know, the Lord spared his life, you know. But hey, with all the brothers, everybody out here that's confessing the name of Yahweh Bashem Yahushua, you're under threat. We are behind enemy lines for sure, man. Okay? So there's a reward though for doing this. There's a reward for putting yourself in that danger and being true and confessing the names. Okay, go ahead.
It says, verse 47. So he answered and said unto me, it is the Son of the Most High, whom they have confessed in the world. Then began I greatly to commend them that stood so stiffly for the name of the Lord.
Mm-hmm. You can being commended from the heavens, man. Go ahead.
Verse 48. Then the angel said unto me, go thy way and tell my people what manner of things and how great wonders of Yahweh Shem Yahshua thy power
Beautiful.
that I have seen.
Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. Did anybody else have points? Because
Well, I was just gonna say pretty much the angel of the Lord told him to confess.
yeah.
That's the testimony, is confession. The
Mhm.
scripture says, and I think in Romans the 10th chapter, what confession is made into salvation. You know, so that's why this ministry and this and the preaching is so important. You know, confessing everything, which begins with the names of Yahweh Bashem Yahweh Shai, man. You know, when you read in Deuteronomy 32, it says that my doctrine shall drop as rain. You know, and it goes into this knowledge being spread forth. And then the second verse says that I will publish the name of the Lord. Like that's the main focal centerpiece of this doctrine, is the names of Yahweh and Yahweh Shai. You know what I'm saying? That's why enemies are so afraid, because they did all that they could do to hide them. You know what I'm saying? To hide the names.
Mm-hmm.
So now that we got that confession, you know, they're like, man, no, we gotta take them out, because they understand and know, like, when that confession goes out, action takes place after that.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Which is what you're going into.
That's right. That's right. Well, let's get a couple examples. Let's get a couple examples that y'all brothers had mentioned before we turn the camera on, and of our forefathers having to put their faith in a situation of peril, in a situation of unknown. Okay, you had that in Exodus.
Yep, I got it. This is Exodus chapter 14. I'm gonna start at verse 10. It says,
Start at 8, Baba Kushar.
All
So
right.
keep in mind, Romans 15:4. These things that were written aforetime was for our learning.
Mhm.
You see, to boost our faith and our hope,
That's right.
to know what to do when it's our turn to go through these things with nothing being new under the sun.
God.
You want to start at verse 5?
Yeah, yeah.
Start at verse 5. It says, and it was told the king of Egypt that the people fled. And the heart of Pharaoh and of his servants was turned against the people, and they said, why have we done this, that we have let Israel go from serving us? And he made ready his chariot and took his people with him. And he took 600 chosen chariots and all the chariots of Egypt and the captains over every one of them.
So it wasn't like he just took a couple of homies. Took 600 chariots, top officers,
Creme de la creme.
the criminal to go and try to fetch after the nation of Israel. So that's an intimidating scene. You understand? When you put it in your mind and visualize it. Go
The
ahead.
Navy SEALs or the Green Berets.
Yeah,
type
like,
shit,
chasing you.
Train, chasing
Mm-hmm.
you. The top of the military on you.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. You fleeing, trying to get up out of there.
David and Goliath-esque.
You know, and now you hear the rumbling. You're gonna hear the rumbling of 600 chariots coming. You know. So let's read.
Verse 8, it says, and Yahweh hardened the heart of Pharaoh, king of Egypt, and he pursued after the children of Israel.
Mm-hmm.
And the children of Israel went out with a high hand,
Mm-hmm.
but the Egyptians pursued after them, all the horses and chariots of Pharaoh, and his horsemen, and his army, and overtook them encamping by the sea, beside Pi Hahiroth, before Baal Zephon.
Mm-hmm.
And when Pharaoh drew nigh, the children of Israel lifted up their eyes.
So they closing in on them. All right. So they getting close to this part of the sea where it's like it's just water, ain't nowhere to escape, seemingly. Right? Go ahead.
And when Pharaoh, verse 10, and when Pharaoh drew nigh, and the children of Israel lifted up their eyes, and behold, the Egyptians marched after them, and they were sore afraid. And the children of Israel cried out unto Yahweh.
Mm-hmm. And that's being afraid is normal, but it shouldn't keep you from acting. That's where you get bravery. All right. Bravery is action in the face of fear. Okay. Go ahead.
Verse 11, and they said unto Moses, because there were no graves in Egypt, hast thou taken us away to die in the wilderness? Wherefore hast thou dealt thus with us to carry us forth out of Egypt? Is not this the word that we did tell thee in Egypt, saying, let us
So they're screaming on Moses right now. Man, we told you back in Egypt, man. This wasn't a good idea, right? Well, just sounds like our people. Go ahead.
It's not this the word that we did thus tell thee in Egypt, saying, let us alone, that we may serve the Egyptians. For it had been better for us to serve the Egyptians than that we should die in the wilderness.
Because we're not walking with that faith. We walking into the unknown. We're scared. We're afraid. Keep reading.
Verse 13, can I say something?
Yeah.
This is after they've seen the 10 plagues already.
Right.
This is after like, you know what I'm saying? After the Spirit of the Lord came and wiped out the firstborn of all the first of the Egyptians. And the firstborn, you know, of all the things that pertain unto them. And they still like went back to the flesh.
Mm-hmm.
Like after they seen that.
This is why this generation wasn't allowed to go into the promised land. Because they kept being murmurers. They didn't have the faith.
Yes.
Right? So
their hearts was hard.
yeah.
I'm going to also say, mind you, the chariot was right there.
Mm-hmm.
Remember, because the Lord
Yep.
had the chariot, it was leading and then went behind him.
Yep.
To block off, you know what I'm saying, Pharaoh from the, you know what I'm saying? Like, so the chariot, it wasn't like the chariot wasn't there either. You know what I'm saying? The chariot was right there. You know?
Bro, Jake made the idols Apis, the bull, and while looking at the chariot sitting on top of Mount Sinai. And you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, it sounds crazy. Well, you have to pray not to be in that spirit whenever we're met in the face of fear. Whenever you're met with 600 of the Egyptians' chariots, you know, bearing down on you. These type of things that are going to start to come now. You know what I'm saying?
It's like in the movie when you see you see all this rush that's coming at that one person and they accept it.
Mm-hmm.
They just close their eyes and be like, fuck it.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Like-
that's how you gotta be.
Queen Latifah set it off.
Yeah. You know what I'm saying?
Day
You know,
after day.
you remember on Game of Thrones where it was Jon Snow with that one sword and
Yeah.
the whole goddamn
Yeah.
cast of the Star Wars was coming at his ass. Yeah, he's like, fuck it, I'm gonna have to fight. You know what I'm saying? That's how you gotta be. And then I'm gonna say eventually the cavalry, which is Yahweh Shai and the angels, is gonna show up.
Mm-hmm.
You see, we're not gonna know how it's gonna happen. That's why this lesson is so important, you know?
Yeah.
Oh, sure. I can.
Yeah.
That's why the Lord says in Isaiah the 55th chapter, He says, "For my thoughts are not your thoughts, my ways are not your ways." Because where the Lord had us to encamp at, there's a route that we could have, taken that would have been much more closer, to the destination, to the wilderness where the Lord is about to lead us. Oh, can I get this commentary real quick?
Yeah.
This is the David Gusick commentary for verse 1, Exodus 14:1. I'm just going to read the verse and I'm going to get the point. It says, "Now the Lord spoke to Moses, saying, Speak to the children of Israel, that they turn and camp before Pi Haroth, between Migdal and the sea, opposite Baal Zephon. You shall camp before it by the sea.
Mhm.
Pharaoh will say of the children of Israel, they are bewildered by the land. The wilderness has closed for men. Then I will harden Pharaoh's heart, so that he will pursue them, and I will gain honor over Pharaoh and over all his army, that the Egyptians may know that I'm Yahweh," and they did so. Now that section where it says they are bewildered by the land, this is the commentary. He says, this is exactly what the Most High wanted Pharaoh to believe. The Most High told Moses to lead Israel in a way that looked confused.
Mm.
The Most High told Moses and Israel to do something that looked confused, because Yahweh Bashmal Shah will gain honor over Pharaoh through it. So just kind of tying into the point, like bringing that close to home with us. When we're in a confused situation, when we're in like a wilderness situation, we just don't understand, like, damn, why the Lord had me here? Ultimately, it's just for his name's sake.
God.
So we've got to trust the process, and deal with the particular signs and tokens that the Lord has shown us that he's already dealing with us. Like the priest made mention about those 10 plagues. Jake already saw the Lord's wonders, so the Lord has given us plenty of fuel and momentum to bring into Jacob's trouble, to have that confidence, in the midst of the unknown.
Beautiful. Yep, man. I want to go back. Go ahead and skip down to verse 13 and read that.
All right. Exodus chapter 14, verse 13, it says, "And Moses said unto the people, Fear ye not, stand still and see the salvation of Yahweh, which he will show you today.
Mm-hmm.
For the Egyptians whom ye have seen today, ye shall see them again no more forever. Yahweh shall fight for you, and ye shall hold your peace.
And hold your peace, man. Stay calm. You know, because you when somebody's overly afraid,
Right.
you know, like you're shaking and you make erratic movements and decisions. You don't want to be in that state. It's like I tell my daughter this all the time. It's okay to be nervous.
Right.
You know what I mean? And Mike Tyson talks about this all the time. Like fear, like it's good. It's cool. It's okay to be, but you got to learn how to accept it and train to use it. You got to control your fear. Kind. Right. And into moving in or indignation and moving in the judgment of Yahweh Bashem Yahushua. So when these things happen to us, when these things come to us, just like the apostle just said, we're redirecting the carnal nervousness or fear that you have, and you're redirecting it into what? The mindset of what will Yahweh Bashem Yahushua, what does he want me to do? Or what is he going to do? And trusting in that.
Because it don't say that Moses knew that the water was going to open up.
Mhm.
It just said that he knew the Lord was going to work a miracle.
Mhm.
You know what I'm saying? He was like, look, y'all chill. The Lord didn't bring us out here to not do nothing. And it just so happened that right when he said that, the water opened up so they could get through.
Yep,
And then crushed the enemies.
that's right.
That was not, if that ain't a spot of unknown, I don't know what is, because you got all this water, and then you got the enemy, you stuck in between the enemy and the water. Like literally ain't nowhere to go. You
Yeah.
see? But that's how the Lord wants you to trust him even into that. You know what I'm saying? You don't gotta know how I'm gonna save you. Just know that I am. Just know that I am. You see?
You know how long it took? Like, it wasn't like that fucking movie, Ten Commandments, where it took a half hour for all this stuff. Remember, all 12 tribes were there.
Yeah.
Right.
How long do you think it took for us to cross
Yeah.
that water?
Yeah.
That was enough time to make sure it's a miracle.
Yeah. If you got a picture in your mind, that's crazy. You know what I mean? That's
All 12 tribes was there.
mm-hmm.
Well, it was Judah or Issachar, all 12. And at that point, we had grown. So,
Yeah, also the
and
book
then
of Numbers.
So we took spoil from Egypt.
Yep.
Yep.
So we had cattle, we had mules, we had so real talk. The crossing might have took a couple of days.
Mm-hmm.
We don't know. The scriptures don't say it.
All the experience in Numbers, because it counted everybody up.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
That's who went through the water.
Yeah.
So the Lord might have held them fucking heathens up for a week. It could have took us a week, or maybe it could have been that same. I mean, the Lord is,
Yeah.
we wasn't as big as we are now as a nation, but I'm just saying we don't know exactly how long it took for us to cross that. And it actually wasn't all the way. It was like when you do the research.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, go for Suez.
Yeah, it really wasn't across the Red Sea. It was the Gulf of Suez.
Okay.
Still, all 12 tribes of Israel was there. That's when we were all together.
God. You want to?
So,
Oh no. Go ahead. You got it. Possible.
no, the Lord had a wall of fire holding the Egyptians up. Y'all remember that part, right?
Con.
He had a wall of fire holding them fucking devils up. You know what I mean?
Con.
So they couldn't get to us. See? And like you say, Moses didn't know, like, Hollywood and all that shit.
Mm-hmm.
Moses, Moses, he did what he did. The Lord told him he did what he did.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? The Spirit of the Lord told him to do that.
Yeah. That took faith, man. That took faith in an unknown situation.
Mm-hmm.
And that was a crazy. Skip down to verse 20 and read.
All right. This is Exodus chapter 14, verse 20. It says, I'm sorry, verse 19. It says, and the angel of the Most High, which went before the camp of Israel,
That was a chariot.
removed and went behind them. And
Mm-hmm.
the pillar of the cloud went from before their face and stood behind them.
So the chariot went, you have this, just like the apostle just described, this massive multitude of Israelites that flew from the front that was leading them and went behind them to protect them.
Yeah.
Right? Go ahead.
And it came between the camp of the Egyptians and the camp of Israel.
Mm-hmm.
And it was a cloud and darkness to them, but it gave light by night to these, so that the one came not near the other all the night.
Look at that.
The whole night they was passing through, and it was a dark. It was a,
Yeah.
you could just imagine just a dark void that
Yeah.
the Egyptians were seeing. It was dark as hell.
Yeah.
But it was bright,
Yeah.
real bright for Israel in the front.
Mm-hmm.
That goes to show you how big, first and foremost, how big the chariot was. You know what I'm saying?
Controlling everything.
Mm-hmm.
It was just dark. Like the
Yeah.
Egyptians could see nothing.
Yep.
For us, it was just light. Like we could see through the whole. You could imagine it was probably like daytime.
Yep.
You know what I'm saying? Like whereas we could see, man, bro. Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was creation darkness.
Just keep reading. It's gonna explain it.
Yeah, it was creation darkness for
Yeah.
the Egyptians. Like they didn't see shit.
Can I get one quick verse?
What you got?
Isaiah 52:12
Mm-hmm.
says, "For you shall not go out with haste, nor go out by flight. For the Lord Yahweh Bashemah will go before you, and the power of Israel will be your reward." When you go to that word reward, it means a rear guard.
Mm-hmm.
You know, so the angel of the Lord, which was Yahweh Shai, he was originally positioned in front of us, but he became our reward. He was our rear guard to protect us from the front and the back.
That's right.
When wolves move, the alpha male always walks in the back behind everybody else, because that's when you have the older wolves and the younger
Mm-hmm.
and the female wolves. The alpha male, you would think the alpha male would be in the front, but he's always he's the last one.
Yeah. No, the officers are in the front.
That's right.
But I got you.
No, so that's when I'm out in public with my family, I'm always in the back.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? I got my tallest, youngest son in the front. My two sons in the front, my old lady in the middle, and then I'll be in the back. That way I can see everything.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and then my tallest son, he in the front, he can see everything. So that's human nature to have a setup. You know what I'm saying?
Hey, if I may say,
Mm-hmm.
not to detract the lesson, but just feed into what y'all saying. I mean, fuck it, man. You brothers better be saying this before. In Native American culture, my culture, that's how it is. The warriors are always in the back. The top warriors are always in the back, because if somebody trying to speak up behind the wisdom my father and my grandmother taught me, the warrior that from the back, that's how you get fucked up, rearing it, so to speak, by enemies. The women and the children and the elders, they go, you let them go. The warriors in the back to protect the back, the rear end, perimeter. You know what I mean? You always check the perimeter. And then you might have a few warriors in the front, but so you can see.
Mm-hmm.
Like you dig in military shit, you want to be able to see that the people are all right. Because if somebody come up, enemies will try to creep up behind you. So it's always the main warriors, the top guys are always the alpha male, like you said, in the back. You know what I mean?
God.
We in the back. Like I told my woman, not any woman I'm with. Like another thing, you walking with your woman, you always have her on the inside of you, right? I learned this many years ago. You walking with your woman, a woman is always on your, okay, like if I'm right here, I'm on the left-hand side. My woman is on the right-hand side of me. You don't never have your fucking woman walking like outside of you. So, because the man is the protector. So if you're there, you're a woman, so if some crazy shit happen, you're there to shield you. Like, it's true, a man should protect his woman.
Mm-hmm.
You understand what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, like, I read this from a woman years ago. Like, oh, what the fuck? I should walk on this side. I'm for sale. Like, real, like, you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Like, basically, if you walking with your old lady and she's on, like, we walking somewhere and your woman is on this side of you in public, then maybe you a pimp and she a hoe. You advertise and look this bitch's head.
Mm-hmm.
But I have been around all kinds of different motherfuckers, pimps and that, yeah. So anytime you walking with your woman in public, she's supposed to always be on the inside of you. If you walking like here, And like it's like that's the street, your woman should be on this side of you. If it's vice versa, she should be on this side. You dig?
Mm-hmm. God.
Real talk.
God.
Like, I know it sounds crazy, and that's like some of them pimps. I mean, pimps are wicked, but then again, some of them that pimp shit does have roots
In order.
in order in ancient culture. It do. Because like if I'm walking with my old lady, right, and the street is this way, she gonna be on my fucking right hand side.
Mm-hmm.
Between her and the street.
Yep.
The street is vice versa. Like, you know what I mean? I tell her, yo, get to this side. Yo, get to this side. Like, you know what I mean? So if something comes, I'm there to shield you from whatever. Right? If you really love your woman.
Right.
Y'all dig? So like the Lord was there. We the Lord's woman, right?
Mm-hmm. So he was there to shield us.
Which y'all going into.
Mm-hmm.
The Egyptians are behind us.
That's
So
right.
The Lord was there to block. That's all. I'm just using that as an analogy, man.
No, that's a great analogy. Okay, let's keep reading on that.
Verse 21, it says, Exodus 14 to 21, it says, and Moses stretched out his hand over the sea, and Yahweh caused the sea to go back by a strong east wind all that night, and made the sea dry land, and the waters were divided.
Look at that.
Hold on, it said all that night.
Mm-hmm. All that night. So they just slowly progressed through.
Yep, all that night. Whole night.
And mind you, they could see. It wasn't like it was dark, but to the Egyptians, it was pitch black dark.
They was in the middle of the wilderness. Like you already said this years ago. There wasn't no goddamn street lights in the wilderness.
Yeah.
You drive in the middle of the highway, street lights and lamps. That wasn't in the wilderness. It was dark as hell, like where you can't even see your hand type dark.
Mm-hmm.
But Israel could see, like I'm talking about bright. You know what I'm saying? It's a chariot. Like bright that light was. You know what I'm saying? Verse 22. And the children of Israel went into the midst of the sea upon the dry ground, and the waters were a wall unto them on their right hand and on their left.
Mm-hmm. So big towers of just water, and they walking past.
Not scared of that shit.
Woo! You gotta have.
You walk through that shit. We know that. Bro, that's the faith just to walk through that.
That's right. That's right.
Just to be being delivered, but your ass scared.
Mm-hmm.
I know if I was there, I would have been scared.
Just real talk.
Talk about scarcely being saved.
Yeah.
You
Right.
in the middle of the sea, and you got walls. You probably seeing reflection because it's a light going through. So you probably seeing little shadows, not little shadows of whales and stuff in the water.
Whatever it was. Yeah.
Big
I saw
squeeze.
a comic one time where it had it was about Moses part of the waters, and the fish had the briefcase and shit like he was on his work,
Yeah.
on his way to work. But he had to wait for the waters to fall back down so he could get through. So that's why he late.
Yeah.
Look at the fish got this little briefcase.
Yeah,
He's
he
like,
wait.
oh man, the boss ain't gonna believe this shit.
Like I'm telling you, the sea split, boss.
Yeah, the boss ain't gonna believe
No,
this shit,
I'm
man.
scared of that shit.
Yeah.
It works for us. And more than likely, to be honest with y'all, we don't remember that shit. All of us in this room are probably there.
Man.
You know what I mean? More than likely, we're probably there.
Man.
But we here for this deliverance, so that means we might have been there for all the deliverances.
Yep.
You know? More than likely, we were probably there
Yeah.
at some point. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah.
We all here together now. So we gotta be the same people that was there. That's why Apostle Paul said, I'm confident in the hope that I might be saved. That happened.
That's right.
Even Jacques Cousteau, that old devil from back when I was a kid, he's an explorer. He actually found evidence that that incident actually happened. He found Pharaoh's chariots in the Red Sea. He actually found evidence. Jacques Cousteau, I don't know if you remember him.
Yeah, I remember him.
Jacques Cousteau, the old Edomite devil. He had a couple of sons, and they would go around investigating shit in the seas. He actually found evidence of Egyptian chariots in the Red Sea. So that incident really happened.
That's right. That's right. So yeah, just highlighting it. Just imagine how our people felt walking through that, the fear. And you're gonna have to face that fear and walk with what? Faith. Okay. Keep reading though. It's gonna get to the part the apostle was talking about.
Verse 23, it says, and the Egyptians pursued and went in after them to the midst of the sea.
So they ran up in there. Go ahead.
Even all Pharaoh's horses, his chariots, and his horsemen.
Uh-huh.
And it came to pass that in the morning watch, the Lord Yahweh looked unto the host of the Egyptians through the pillar of fire and of the cloud.
So he looked through the pillar of fire in the cloud.
And the chariot.
The chariot was looking like you know you done fucked up, right?
Yep.
You know, go ahead.
It says, and troubled the host of the Egyptians, and took off their chariot wheels that they drove them, that they drave them heavily.
Right. So the chariot wheels was falling off, the horses just dragging. You know, let's show you the power of these chariots, man. It had telekinetic powers, man. Breaking the wheels off the chariot, probably shooting sound waves.
It made it very uncomfortable.
You know,
And
You know?
of course, that's mud. That water,
yeah.
trail is
Muddy rocks.
Yeah.
It's the
I
ocean.
know,
Yeah.
I ride horses
Reefs.
every week. Horses don't like muddy terrain.
Uh-uh.
They really don't like it.
Yep.
Horses strong. They sinking.
Yep. So they dragging these
Horses don't
chariots
like muddy terrain.
through this mud
Yes.
and muck.
They'll deal with it if they have to, but remember that's a high intense situation.
Mm-hmm.
Horses, man, animals, our four-legged brothers, they're just like us. They have fear too. You look at an animal, a horse, a dog, a cat, bro, they're really no different than us, man. They just on different, they're spirits. They're living flesh and blood creatures like us. They can, you think they don't get scared or like mud, like human being, I know who likes mud. It slows you down, especially if it's a high impact situation.
Mm-hmm.
So the horses were freaking out.
Yep. You know it. Go ahead.
Yep. It says, verse 25, and took off their chariot wheels that they drave them heavily,
Mm-hmm.
so that the Egyptians said, let us flee from the face of Yahweh, from the face of Israel. For Yahweh fighteth for them against the Egyptians.
Mm-hmm.
And Yahweh said unto Moses, stretch out thine hand over the sea, that the waters may come again upon the Egyptians, upon their chariots, and upon their horsemen.
Woo.
Waited till all them niggas was in there.
Mm-hmm.
That's horrifying. I'm scared of water. I've always been scared of drowning.
Yeah.
But woo!
Keep going up.
And Moses stretched forth his hand over the sea, and the sea returned to his strength when the morning appeared.
Wow.
And the Egyptians fled against it. And Yahweh overthrew the Egyptians in the midst of the sea.
Through. Killed them. You know.
It said to his strength, to his full depth.
So big gone.
Mm-hmm. It's a big tidal wave. You know.
Fast too, you know. It says, and the waters returned and covered the chariots and the horsemen and all the hosts of Pharaoh that came into the sea after them.
Yeah.
Well, Ariella, according, see, it's been a while since I actually read that scripture. So it might have been, I'm saying, no, I don't think it was a couple of days. It might have been an overnight affair.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
According to what the scripture's saying,
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
it was an overnight. It took us a night.
Yeah. Yeah, which that's definitely possible. You know what I'm saying? Especially if they're just going through the smallest part of the Suez Canal to get through that thing. But it's enough space to drown a whole army, you know?
Because it said at night, and then in verse 24 it says, and it came to pass that in the morning watch, the
Mhm.
Lord looked into the host of Egypt.
Yeah.
So it was, but that was that morning watch at that time when they started coming after.
Yeah.
And the Lord had to lift the chariot back up, and he let them go up in there. Yeah, go up in there.
Mm-hmm.
Go up in there.
It makes sense though, because probably like 10, 20 miles. Paul Pierce just made a bet.
Yeah.
that
Yeah. He had to walk like 15
He
miles.
walked 15 miles. It took him 8 hours. So,
Yeah.
that makes sense.
Yeah, 8 hours. So at nighttime, you supposed, they say you're supposed to sleep for 8 hours a night.
Yeah. So he just walked.
Yeah.
Just walked through, you know? But that's just one great example of, you know, operating with faith in the face of the unknown. You know what I mean? We can get one more. You had one more that you was talking about. Oh no, one more scripture that just talk about the Lord having our back.
Yeah.
Was that in Sirach or Maccabees?
It was in I would say like it's First Maccabees chapter 2, but it kind of links up with Hebrews 11 because it just gives all those different accounts of faith. I was just thinking when he was talking about Second Kings chapter 2, where Elisha and the man, they were seeing the army come after the chariot.
I thought about that earlier.
Oh yeah, that's a good one. That's a good one.
I thought about that one too.
Yeah, let's pull that one because I just wanted to give one more good example.
Because Elisha had the faith, but his servant didn't.
Yeah. Pull that one.
This is Second Kings chapter 6, and the point is in verse 16, but I'm going to start up to get some context in verse 8. It says, the king of Syria warred against Israel and took counsel with his servants, saying, in such and such a place shall be my camp. And the man of the Most High sent unto the king of Israel, saying, beware that thou pass not such a place, for thither the Syrians will come down. Right? It says in verse 10, and the king of Israel sent to the place which the man of the Most High told him and warned him of, and saved himself there, not once or twice. So basically the king of Syria was basically trying to, set up the king of Israel. And, Elisha came saying, hey, look, watch out. It's a trap for you in this particular place. And it was multiple times where that happened. Right. So this is the response of the king of Syria in verse 11. It says, therefore, the heart of the king of Syria was sore troubled for this thing. And he called his servants and said unto them, will you not show me which of us is for the king of Israel? Because he was like, man, one of y'all got to be a spy or something. Like, how the hell did the king of Israel keep knowing where I'm setting up these traps for him? Right. Verse 12, it says, right. It says, and one of his servants said, none, my lord, O king, but Elisha, the prophet that is in Israel, telleth the king of Israel the word that thou speakest in thy bedchamber.
That's heavy, bro. The king of Syria was saying this in his room, and Elisha was knowing what he was saying.
Yeah.
And just letting the king of Israel.
Yeah.
That's heavy, bro. Wow.
Well, remember, Elisha prayed, really Elijah prayed to the Most High that Elisha would receive a double portion
of the Spirit. So there's no telling how type of power he had.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Speak not against the king in thy bedchamber. He's a bird of the air.
Yep.
All right. So continuing on in verse 13, it says, so this is the response of the king of Syria. It says, verse 13, and he said, go and spy where he is, that I may send and fetch him. And it was told him, saying, behold, he is in Dothan. Right? So that lets you know, like, people know where cities we be at, you know what I'm saying? Like, I know where to find Elisha. Yeah, he be over here. He be over here in this city. Right? Verse 14, it says, therefore, send he thither horses and chariots and a great host, that they came by night and compassed the city about. Right? It says, verse 15, and when the servant of the man of the Most High, right, the servant of Elisha, was risen early and gone forth, behold, and host compassed the city with horses and chariots.
Bro, real quick, they sent a military after him, and they pretty much they blocked off the whole city so he couldn't get out.
Yep.
The whole military.
Yep.
After this one man.
Yep.
So like you were saying earlier, those are kind of situations that we don't be in.
Yeah. Well, they especially when they get ready to put this chip out here, and there's gonna be groups of us, probably other, maybe groups that ain't gonna deal with that, man. They're gonna be ready to shut it down, right? These stories are, like Dr. Zach said, is meant for us to take heed and add that to our spiritual repertoire, so we can deal with these situations when they come. Because even when we first started preaching out here, we was over at the DART station, and they would just come and just surround the damn DART station with cops. We just lights on. We sitting there, we young and fiery. This is when, this is back when we were, the Most High gonna destroy you cops too. But they gonna come again, man. Go ahead.
Right. It says, the middle of verse 15, right? It says, and his servant said unto him, alas, my master, how shall we do?
What we gonna do, man? Like, how we gonna get up out of here? Go ahead.
One,
Uh-huh.
one on 1,000.
Yeah.
You know, verse 16 it says, and he answered, "Fear not, for they that be with us are more than they that be with them."
Woo!
Man, that's heavy, bro. That's a heavy thing. It says Psalms 34:7. The Lord kept around angels around about those that fear him.
Mm-hmm.
You see? So as much fear can be brought on by this situation, our fear of Yahweh Shai is greater.
Yep.
You know what I'm saying? It's more of like, yeah, I know it's 1,000 people coming at me right now, and I'm probably finna get lit the fuck up, but they can't do nothing worse than what the Lord can do.
Yep. We ain't
You
in
know
the
what I'm
time of
saying?
we're not in the time of taking an L. We're in the time of victory.
Right.
So when it comes down to this thing, that's when the chariots are gonna reappear. When you read these scriptures, the chariots was always there for deliverance. We got denied access to the chariots because of our disbelief and going off, and we broke the covenant. Through Yahweh Shai, we reestablished that relationship, and we get the chariots on our side again.
Right.
So when all this shit start popping off, man, we gonna have specific chariots there to help us out, man.
Did you not get Revelations 11:3?
Yeah.
Yeah, it was an account where a chariot scooped up King David.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying? It was a situation where he would have been out of there if it wasn't for the chariot. You know what I'm saying?
The Lord came through, bowed the heavens, it started storming, it started earthquaking, the chariot
You know what I'm
picked them up and dropped them off.
Get Revelations 11:3.
Revelation chapter 11 verse 3 says, "And I will pour and I will give power unto my 2 witnesses, and they shall prophesy 1,260 days, clothed in sackcloth."
Y'all got it, man. It's y'all show.
Right. And so, you know, the Most High is going to give power to his two witnesses. Now, people talk about that being in northern, southern. People talk about that basically being the breakdown of the prophets. All right. And so we're going to prophesy that 350 years from that time point, those days up until now. Okay. And that's why the Most High is going to open up the spirit of Yahweh Shem Yahushua. And that's what we're seeing now since the time of Abba Bivens and the old school coming all the way leading up until now, man. You know, the spirit of the Lord is moving. It's beautiful.
Verse 6 is a good point as well.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it says and these are the 2 olive trees and the 2 candlesticks standing before the earth. And I will make and if any man will hurt them, fire proceedeth out of their mouth and devoureth their enemies. If any man will hurt them, he must in this manner be killed. All right. So there goes that provision that's made of protection, right? And these have power to shut heaven, and that it rain not in the days of their prophecy, and have power over waters to turn them into blood, and to smite the earth with all plagues as often as they will.
Same thing that Moses did when he was on the scene.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? Elijah, I believe he held up the heavens where it didn't rain for like multiple years.
I think 3.5, 3.
Yeah. You know? So these things are coming back.
That's right. That's right. Now, I wanted to go back to that 2 Kings though.
Mm-hmm. Yep. So continuing on in that 2 Kings, all right, verse 17, it says, and Elisha prayed and said, Lord, Yahweh Shem Yahushai, I pray thee, open his eyes that he may see. Talking about his servant, you know, because he was worried.
Mm-hmm.
It says, and the Lord, Yahweh Shem Yahushai, opened the eyes of the young man, and he saw and beheld, and behold, the mountain was full of horses and chariots of fire round about Elisha. Right? It says, and when they came down to him, Elisha prayed unto the Lord and said, smite this people. So they actually came and was like, all right, we're gonna pounce on them.
Mm-hmm.
Right? And the Lord, and you know, the Lord answered Elisha's prayer quick. You saw that was immediate.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it says, smite this people, I pray thee, with blindness. And he smote them with blindness according to the word of Elisha.
Woo!
How you gonna find somebody that can't even see? You know, it reminds me of what Yahushua said when he was in the Garden of Gethsemane, and you know, the chief priest soldiers that came to apprehend him. You know, and Peter, you know, he cut off one of the soldiers' ears, right? And Yahushua admonished them, saying, "Look, hey, I can call legions of angels at a moment's notice." So hey, if we have that, if we join heirs with Yahushua, we have same access, man. That to continue to glorify the Lord, we still we have that connection with the Lord through the faith in the Lord, faith in Yahushua.
God. Let's get that in Romans the 8th chapter.
All right. It's the book of Romans, chapter 8.
We can finish up with this Romans 8. Unless y'all brothers got precepts. Y'all got precepts, bring them precepts out right now.
I have one.
Go ahead, champ.
Back up that 2 Kings.
Mm-hmm.
Isaiah 59:19. So shall they fear the name of the Lord from the west, and his glory from the rising of the sun. When the enemy shall come in like a flood, the Spirit of the Lord shall lift up a standard.
Break it down.
That's self-explanatory.
Mm-hmm.
That's what happened in Egypt. They came in like a flood. They surrounded Elisha and his servant like a flood, but that standard was always lifted up. The Spirit of Yahweh Shemel Shai and the Holy Host. So it's going to happen again now. Esau is definitely coming in like a flood. When he loses, and that's when that standard's going to be lifted up this time. He's not going to be able to take out the prophets and the bulk of them in the Lord like he did in past incarnations.
That's right.
This time it's going to be a victory and protection, because, like you said, we're back reconnected with our power again. We were reconciled, so now we have that access to call upon help and be heard this time, versus being ignored and being punished.
God, beautiful.
I got it.
Mm-hmm.
Hebrews chapter 10, verse 38. It says, "Now the just shall live by his faith. But if any man draw back, my soul shall have no pleasure in him." When you get that word "draw back" in the Greek, that word is hupastello. All right, and when you get the definition here, it says to withdraw oneself, i.e., to be timid, to cower, shrink, of those who from timidity hesitate to avow what they believe. Like you was going into earlier about having that confidence, like it's okay to be nervous.
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But when you cower and you shrink away,
Yeah. It's like it's the timidity of one stealthily retreating. Like you just tiptoeing out you're like that Homer Simpson meme where he goes in the bushes. Yeah, he drew back into the bushes. That's what that is. That's why a guy that slowly just creeps out the camp. You're like, where's this guy? He used to be at the front of the line eating chicken. Now we never see this dude.
You ain't seen this enough since.
Yeah. Go ahead.
That word shrink says move back or away, especially because of fear or disgust.
Mm-hmm.
It makes me think about that account where, whenever we was going to the land of Canaan to spy it out, and Joshua and Caleb, they had a good report, but all the rest, they was all afraid. Man, this big ass Anakim, niggas 9 feet tall, niggas big. We have little grasshoppers compared to these men. We can't go into the land and take them away.
Yeah.
And that's when they, and Joshua had, was like, man, the Lord with us, man, we'll take these people out. But you can't draw back though,
Can't. Beautiful. Mm-hmm.
This is Isaiah 59, verse 1. Behold, the Lord's hand is not shortened that it cannot save, neither his ear heavy that it cannot hear. So when we look at how the Lord and through history, how he has delivered certain men of Israel, as we mentioned in Exodus, during the time of the Red Sea, where he parted, that was the Lord showing his hand. The Lord said he's going to stretch his hand out again in Egypt the second time. And this is my spiritual Sodom and Egypt. The Lord is going to stretch his hand out, and that's going to come with what? The Lord is setting up spiritual power. He's going to set up where there's going to be times under persecution where he's going to deliver us from the hand of our enemies.
Mm-hmm.
This is the book of Judith, chapter 8, and I'm going to start at verse 12 and skip down to verse 15, and just kind of set the context for this during the time of the siege of Bethulia, and when the Assyrians had camped around us, cut off our water supply. We didn't have any food coming into the city, and Jacob was getting scared. Those final, crucial moments, those hours, and the leaders, of Jacob at that time, they pretty much had a council and said, if the Most High don't come, and within our aid in the next 5 days, we're going to pretty much become the slaves of the Assyrians. but the Lord put the spirit upon Judah, to rebuke those elders, like, who are you to box the Lord in, tell him when he got to work. So this is Judith chapter 8 and verse 12, and this is what she says. She says, "And now who are you that have tempted Yahweh Bashmal Shah this day, and stand in the stead of the Most High among the children of men?" Skipping down here to verse 16, Salaki 15. "For if he will not help us within these 5 days, he has power to defend us when he will." So basically, at the end of the day, the Lord does what he wants to do. If he wants to come in, save us and deliver us, he will. If he doesn't, that's his will. That's just the mindset we gotta have. Now, we do have the confidence that he will, but at the end of the day, we're not to tempt the Lord because we don't understand what he's doing. He's already given us straight commandment as to what we're supposed to be doing, and that's to believe on him. So it says, "For if he will not help us within these 5 days, he has power to defend us when he will, even every day, or to destroy us before our enemies. Do not bind the counsels of the Lord our power," meaning don't box him in. This flesh wants to box the Lord in. He's got to work like this. He's got to work on my time. No, he don't. Like you said earlier, Elder. Sometimes it's just not meant for us to know. The Lord loves to put us through the ringer just by just testing our mindset. Got the knowledge, we got the understanding, but the wisdom is applying, ultimately, the knowledge and the understanding that the Lord has given us unto us in faith. That's the evidence.
Yep.
He was talking about.
That's right.
Last verse, it says, "Do not bind the counsels of the Lord our power, for Yahweh Bashmal Shah is not as man that he may be threatened, neither is he as the son of man that he should be wavered. Therefore, let us wait for salvation of him and call upon him to help us."
Ain't nothing gonna stop the Lord from doing what the Lord wants to do. You know what I'm saying? And if he say he gonna deliver Israel, and you're an Israelite, it's gonna be like 2 + 2. You know what I'm saying? that's how simple it is to those that have eyes to see and ears to hear. I will say it is what it is, right? I will say when you see that wave coming, you just accept it. You know what I'm saying?
Because it was already written from the beginning. The way of salvation that the Lord is going to deliver you, it's already been preset before the foundation of the world. That's why I say it's the end written from the beginning. You know what I'm saying? Like it's already there, but it's like in the face of adversity, you got to snap back into that thought, like it's already written. This is already written. You know what I'm saying? Like you got to believe that the Lord gonna get you up out of there, regardless of the situation. Or you may get put to death, but you believe that you're gonna be risen back up again. That's it.
It's really not such a big deal, man. We've been programmed to fear death so much in this fucking modern, since the turn of the 20th century, I was born in the 20th century, like most of you brothers were. We were all born in the 20th century, but we've been feared so much. Even back in the 1800s, men back then, even women back then didn't fear. I watched my old westerns, like them old cowboy shows. Like people back then, there's always a fear, but people back in the old days and the ancient world didn't fear death as much. Just because of this devil, Job 9:24. Right. The white man, he instilled this fear of death. I'm gonna die. Ariella was going into a little while ago. People, you get so nervous. And then he mentioned Mike Tyson. Mike Tyson, I was scared. I was scared to death in most of my fights, but he used that energy. But you just gotta program your mind too in the spirit of Yahweh Shem. Remember in that movie Braveheart, or Mel Gibson did that movie? That was a true story we all know. And the woman, she gave him the thing. It'll help numb the pain. But he was afraid. He was scared. William Wallace, before they were going to execute him, but no, they were going to torture him, then execute him. They wanted to break his spirit. That was more easier than executing him. They wanted to break his spirit. So they tortured him. And that's a true story. That, in the movie, was actually, William Wallace, they didn't just execute him, they tortured him, then eventually killed him. But he never faltered, man. But in the movie, Mel Gibson, he did his research. He said he was praying to the Most High. He said, "Give me the strength to die well."
Yahushua turned down the wine mingled with myrrh.
Yeah.
To take on the full extent of that pain. He turned that down.
Come. So, brother, that's like me. I always think of that movie. Like, man, if I gotta be a martyr in this thing, just let the Lord just give me the spirit to deal with it.
Right.
Like, you know what I mean? Like bitching up, I can't see bitching up.
Just gotta take it manfully.
And then you got accounts in the scriptures where the Lord had the martyr feel no pain. So all of that's on the table. Whether you feel the pain or not, the will gonna be fulfilled. And we have that understanding. That's why we can see that wave coming and just be like, okay, well, fuck it then. You know what I'm saying? That's how it's gonna go. Where the Lord want me to go out.
Fuck it, man. If you're gonna die, so man. You treasure. Okay, what life in this world, struggling and dealing, having to live around? Oh, see, I'm gonna say the F-bomb. You know what I'm talking about?
Bundles of sticks.
Moles and big Shirleys and even all this dysfunctional shit. You want to stay alive so you can just live with this shit.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
This is just such a great existence.
Yeah.
Fuck it, man. You got to live the spirit world for it, but it's not going to be for a long time. See, but these people, they're on the path of death anyway.
Through.
But they just don't realize it. Come on, bro.
Yep.
Think about that for a hot second. Look at society. Look, with society, I watch the news every day. These people are on the path of death.
Yeah.
You're going to tell me all these motherfuckers out here, all of them, Israel, there's just nothing but madness going on. It's total madness. And these people are total dysfunctionality has become the norm. So, like, okay, real talk, think about it. Like, you can go in the spirit world and be in peace, or you can just stay here and have to be frustrated every day.
Yeah.
And I'm not promoting a thing of death because not everybody, look, man, there will be martyrs, but not all of us are going to die, bro.
Right.
That's up to the Lord. Okay? You understand? The Bible says there are some that should not see death. So look, man, all of us can't fucking die.
Right.
Come on, man, that's not balanced. There's gonna be brothers, it's gonna be delivered. Who Yahushua? If we all just die, then who Yahushua coming to deliver?
Right.
There may be certain that, but that I can't answer that for y'all. The Lord knows who going, you know?
Yeah.
That's it, man. The Lord knows.
That's right.
But you gotta be in that mentality. That's what these elders are teaching y'all tonight, man. Okay?
That's right.
That's what these elders are telling you, brothers, tonight, man. All right? You gotta still just be in that mentality, man. Okay? All out. Whatever.
Beautiful. We'll finish up with Romans 8.
Yep.
Beautiful, man. Great points. And to me, that really brings it home. But we'll finish it with this scripture just to highlight what the apostle said. And that's the point of this lesson today. You know what I mean? That the mindset to just go when we're about to go into unknown, uncertainty. But we've been building ourselves up for this time, man. So you gotta be, by now you should be having some semblance to that mentality that the apostle was talking about.
Yeah.
Or you just haven't been paying attention.
Yeah.
Okay.
Job said, though he slay me, yet will I maintain my trust in
Mm-hmm.
him. You know, but I got you right here.
Go ahead.
Romans 8:24. For we are saved by hope, but hope that is seen is not hope.
Mm-hmm.
For what a man seeth, why doth he yet hope for?
Yeah, when you have hope, faith, that's a driver. Anybody that's going and operating a business, you operate anything off hope and faith that is going to be successful. Anybody that's, the brother going into a boxing match, there's a level of faith and hope that it'll be successful that drives you to train, that drives you to basically get in the ring and get your head busted in. Who wants to do that? You know what I'm saying? There's a little crazy that's in there. You know what I'm saying?
Well, no, brother, in boxing, Apostle Paul, he told me that when I first started. He said to be a boxer, you got to be a little tapped in the head.
Yeah.
Step through them ropes. You always got that little nervous, the butterflies and stuff. But like once a ding,
Yeah, it's on.
it's on. You in there, you can't bitch up.
That's right.
You just gotta be like, fuck it, I'm in the room with this motherfucker. He's an animal, but then you gotta become an animal.
That's right.
Just let your hands go.
Mhm.
Fuck you, motherfucker. You trying to hurt me? I'm trying to hurt you, motherfucker.
Yeah.
Fuck you, man. Fuck you.
Mhm.
And then all of a sudden, the beast comes out of you.
Yep. Right. And you just tap in. So we're doing that in the spirit to achieve the kingdom. But it takes hope and faith as a driving factor. Because if you don't, if you already got it, what you fighting for? You know what I mean? They talk about championship fighters that they get that bag, they have the belts, they sleeping on silk, and they lose that drive.
Yeah.
Right. So but we ain't attained, we have not apprehended, like it says in Philippians the 3rd chapter, right? So we're compelled through faith and hope. Keep reading that.
Verse 25. But if we hope for that we see not, then do we with patience wait for it.
Mm-hmm. Go ahead.
Likewise, the Spirit also helpeth our infirmities. For we know not what we should pray for as we ought.
Mm-hmm.
But the Spirit itself maketh intercession for us with groanings which cannot be uttered.
So there's an intercession that happens in these times of where you don't even know what to pray for, right? You don't know what to do in times. Certain situations, brothers would be like, I don't even know what I said or did. It just worked out. Okay.
Man, I'm sorry, go ahead.
Obviously, that's 2 Corinthians 5, walk by faith and not by sight.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So that's what we do. We actually have to focus on getting the Lord focused. We might not even know what it's like the movie Book of Eli. He said, I'm just going with, the Lord had him going that way. He didn't really know what he was going for till he got there.
Yep.
Yep.
Right.
Me and Sha'ar was talking when I was on welfare. We was reminiscing about some events that happened in our past, like or in the past, whatever. And I remember we went out one night, and I told him, as he never knew me. I was like, man, I remember I was driving home because we was going from Arlington, from Frisco to Arlington. So we was driving back home. It was real late that night. And I told him, I was like, bro, I kid you not, to this day, I was like, I don't even know how we got home, bro. I was like, I literally was asleep the whole time. The Lord had it for us. Because I was like, bro, for real. I was like, he's like, bro, I was up the whole time. I was like, bro, I kid you not, I was knocked out. But it was like an hour-long drive. I do not remember anything. I was just, the Lord had me on spiritual autopilot. When we got back home safely, so that through the Spirit, I mean, we here doing His work today, but the Lord literally guided us home that night.
Yeah.
He intercessed.
Yeah.
I was asleep, bro.
Yeah.
Knocked out just driving. Eyes wide open. Knocked out.
That was like that one time. When we used to go with we went to the Ponderosa. This is when we used to go up to New York. We would drive, we would stay up late. We stayed up late with Apostle Hart. Late, bro. It had to be like 3:30 in the morning, 4 o'clock in the morning, driving from New York basically to Connecticut. I'm driving, right? Tired than a hoe. The Apostle Ricard's in the passenger seat. I didn't know where the fuck I was going, right? But I don't know how he was knocked out. Window down, air hitting his face, enjoying that air, sleep. I'm driving this shit. I'm looking at him. I'm like, I don't know where the fuck I'm going. Like, you know? But he would just wake up. Hey, brother, make this right, man. And go right back to sleep. Right. I'm talking about right when I need to make the turn. He would just wake up and be like, hey, yeah, you have to make this exit right here. Go ahead. And go back to sleep. It was like an angel came and just tap him on the shoulder. Hey, the brother need directions. Wake up. I don't know how we made it home that night. Bro, we was lit. But we made it home. Yeah. No, man, we can throw those fun stories in there, but there's gonna be times where it's more serious. Oh, it was cold than a bitch. Yeah, the window down. I'm like, man, Holy Spirit jump on the apostle and put that window up. Shit. But anyway. But no, man, that's the point, man. We made the point. I'm gonna go ahead and close out, man. But hey, why that's where you I'm there. Listen with that. Where you gonna say call halal, Yahweh by Hashem, Yahweh Shah by Hashem Rakakash. Double honors to the apostles, elders, and bishops of Great Millstone. Much peace, love, and salutations to you. I'm out there pushing the word of Yahweh Hashem, Yahweh Shah, sincerity and truth. Shalom.
Yeah.
You remember that?
I'm known for that, man.
It's cold. Yeah,
Brother, put it up like that. I'm saying, man.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
think you can,
If you find it in your arms,
to put some drawers on that window.
oh man.
Yeah, well, I realize